Hey guys, Sophia here with Turquoise Toffee, and I'm back with another video. Today we're talking about the 2024 Arnold Classic Bikini results, which just happened last night. It's so exciting. These women were amazing. And I have to say, I loved all the turquoise suits that we got to see over the weekend. Now, everything that I'm saying in this video is from what I saw watching the live stream. I didn't get to be there in person this time. So if any of you guys were there, please comment below and tell us what it was like seeing the girls with your own eyes. I know that that does make a difference in terms of the conditioning and the color and all that stuff. But I'm doing what I can with what I have. I've got my notes, so you might hear my papers shuffling while I read what I noticed while I was watching the live stream. Okay, so beginning with the scorecards, and if you saw my last video, which was recapping wellness and fitness, I mentioned that I would talk about the scorecards for those categories as well. I've tacked that on to the end of this video, so just stay tuned for that. Now, talking about bikini, the scores were close between Lauralie and Amy, 1 point. So that tells you it was not a unanimous decision. It wasn't all the judges thinking 100%. All of us think it's Lauralie for the win. Some of them thought it could have been Amy. So that is very exciting. It gives us such a build up for what could happen at Olympia. But at the end of the day, Lauralie managed to win by that 1 point. And so exciting for us watching. So in first place was Lauralie, second Amy, third Vana, fourth Angelica, fifth Phoebe, and sixth Ellie. So here's Ellie in sixth place, and my goodness, did she ever look amazing. She really held her own. There were some very tall athletes on stage. Ellie is not one of those tall girls, but she looked incredible and really, really shone in that pink bikini. One of the few not wearing blue. So I thought she had beautiful quad definition, particularly in this pose here. The line running down her leg was stunning. I thought in this frontal kind of this pose, the model kind of pose, the amount of width that she had to the narrowness of her waist created a really beautiful triangular shape. I definitely noticed that on her. I also thought she had an extremely flat stomach. Her abs were so smooth. The waistline was just really tiny in between the nice width of her upper body and that beautiful curve of her glute. So she really had that beautiful S shape. I also thought in the back pose, her delts looked amazing. Gorgeous round shape, great balance with the glutes. There was one time when I thought she was doing her back pose and there wasn't enough hair on her back. You know, some of the hair was over her shoulder into the front and it was showing too much of the muscles in her back. So I'm very happy that the next time she went to the back, she had all of the hair, because that does make a big difference in just softening some of the hardness of the physique. I think right here in this photo, absolutely stunning. Great delts. It really makes your eye travel over that hourglass shape to her tiny waist, to her beautiful glutes. And in these photos, you can see she's got nice detail coming down into the glute ham tie-ins, a little bit of definition into the adductors, and just overall really nice balance and beautiful poise on stage. I noticed that she's very quick in the posing, not in the sense that her speed is fast, just in the sense that she does a front, she does a back, and then she kind of just goes. She's not adding a lot of extra time on stage. And I like that. I think she's very direct to the point, showcasing all of her assets and then moving off. So I thought she did absolutely amazing. She looked gorgeous. I didn't have anything critical to say in regards to adding or changing or how to make anything better, just to be careful about the hair. Okay, next in fifth place was Phoebe. My goodness, she's so tall. Her arms and her legs are just so long that it's like her legs stretch for miles. Her just absolutely beautiful. She's very long, very lean. And what really catches my eye on her physique is the glutes. I'm definitely loving the shape, the roundness, and that width. I think she's got a very unique and gorgeous curve to the glutes. and a nice balance with her upper body as well. And her hair is on the shorter side. She doesn't have a lot of hair covering all the way down towards the bottom of her suit. And it's okay because she's covering up some of those harder muscles in the top and still showcasing her tiny waist. And I think you get a really good view at that hourglass shape, that beautiful width coming down, and then that nice balance with her glutes. In the front pose, she's got a lot of beautiful definition into her legs, nice curves. Overall, I think she's stunning, so beautiful. Love the turquoise. Perhaps only because she's got such long arms, maybe she could have a little bit more size and muscle in the arms themselves, maybe a little bit more delt, a little bit more curve and roundness, just so that I see a bit more of those curvy shapes rather than so much long length and leanness. But at the end of the day, she's got beautiful balance and gorgeously tall and nice stage presence as well. So beautiful. All right, next in fourth place was Angelica. So lovely seeing her on stage again. She's been off for a couple years, having babies and living life, and here she is again, picking up right where she left off and looking stunning. I thought she looked really beautiful. That shape of her glute looks so nice in this side angle here. She's got gorgeous curve where the glute comes in to the hamstring. I did think she could have had a little bit more definition when I was watching the live stream, particularly here in the back pose on the outside sides of her glute hem tie-ins. You could see the inside line quite sharply, but I thought the outside line could have been just a little bit clearer. I also thought that in terms of the shape of the glutes, she's got some beautiful curve into the top part of the glute, some beautiful fullness, but she has a little bit more roundness coming into the midline, whereas some of the other girls, you'll see when we show the lineup, have more of their suit showing. Like it's almost a leaner look to the glutes themselves. So clearly, fourth place at the Arnold, the judges didn't mind that, but it is something that I noticed looks different than the others, whether it's the fit of the suit, the cut of the bottoms themselves, or the amount of muscle size. I'm not sure, but it's something that I noticed in comparison to the others. I thought she did a really good job with her posing, nice, showing off that S curve here. Her waist looks really nice and trim, not as tiny as, say, Ellie. Some of those other girls have extremely flat, paper thin abs, but Angelica has a beautiful balance. I did find that she touched her hair a lot. It was kind of reminding me of how things were a few years ago. Girls are not doing that quite so much anymore, so maybe that's something she could just tone down a little bit going forward, but it wasn't terribly distracting. It was just something that I noticed. So at the end of the day, I do think that her conditioning could have been just a little bit sharper, just to show us a bit more of the lines around the shoulders, a little bit deeper groove into the leg. Like I said, a bit more of the definition into the tie-ins, but still, I'm super impressed that she looked so good on her comeback, and what an amazing top 5 finish. 4th place at the Arnold. That's so good. Okay, next in 3rd place was Vana. She impressed me the most out of everybody. I really noticed the amount of muscle, her posing, everything about her was spectacular. I couldn't find a back pose of her, so this is just a screenshot from her stories, so I know the quality is not great, but at least we know it is definitely her, and man, she looked amazing. So I loved her suit. I thought it was a perfect color. I thought the hourglass that she had in her back pose was awesome. Just a beautiful balance between her delts and her glutes and that shape in her quads. So gorgeous width here and a nice tiny waist. I really noticed her conditioning. The groove in her hip was stunning. All of this detail in her quads. The delts were beautifully outlined. Unreal. She has amazing calves too. I really noticed those. Beautiful amount of size, great conditioning to show them off. Her posing I found very exciting. I was unable to look away, very interesting movements. It wasn't like the typical posing that you usually see. It was something unique about her posing, really caught my eye. I love in particular the size that she has in her quads. I think she has a really nice roundness here in the top of her leg. And when she was walking, all of those muscles looked just unbelievably beautiful. Really nice definition. And even when she was facing forward, I noticed that gorgeous curve to her back. So I think she looked stunning. This is an extremely impressive placing for her. And man, what an amazing show. Okay, second place, Amy. Oh my gosh. Amy is unbelievable. Her physique is so textbook perfect. She's got the most triangular shape to her upper body to her waist. So she's got this beautiful broadness. It comes down so nicely, tiny little waist, and you just see this. And I noticed it, of course, in her front pose, but also even when she's doing this kind of this model pose here. Like you just see all of this width in the lat, in the delts. Very beautiful. And in the back, I actually describe it almost as an X. I know it's an hourglass for bikini, but I was seeing like the angle all the way from the delt down to her toes. And it was just the way that she poses, the space between her feet. I just thought she creates the most beautiful balanced shape. The shoulders, not only are they nicely balanced with the glutes, but it's like she's got them balanced all the way down to her feet. So a very gorgeous back pose. I also really liked how curved her glute is in this pose here. She has a lot of height and roundness, and that really does to me stand out against some of the other girls. There's not a single bit of angle or slope or straightness. It's just pure height and curve. And it looks so good when your eye is flowing down the silhouette of her back. I thought while she was walking to the back of the stage, the definition in her adductors looked amazing. I love that little bit of a line coming through with each step she took. It was really amazing. I also thought that the way she poses is very pretty. She is so delicate on her toe. She kind of has a little bit of a twist in the knee, so she's not completely sideways with her leg. She's just, it's expert. It is so beautiful. She looks amazing. She was, I believe, the only athlete wearing red in this lineup, which looks great on her. It's a perfect shade of red with her hair color. She stood out, and she just looks stunning. I love her makeup too. Sometimes she does a little bit more of a bold red lip, but I think with the backdrop, with all of these beautiful jewel tones, it was a perfect choice. So again, nothing negative to say. She looks really stunning. Maybe when I look at the lineup and I see everyone side by side, she could perhaps have a little bit more height to the delts in terms of that size and the roundness, but she doesn't need more size. So I don't know if that's humanly possible, because I think her delts are just stunning in the front pose, and I love her own frame. But it is something that I noticed next to our first place winner. So let's go to first place. Lauralie, oh my gosh. I don't think too many people are surprised by this. She's now the 3-time champion. There's never been a bikini athlete who's won it 3 times at the Arnold Classic. So this is such an achievement. She looks stunning. She really nailed the conditioning this time. Not too lean, not too full. You've got lots of detail coming through in her legs. Very tiny waist, extremely flat midsection, beautiful detailing coming in through her delts. She just really looked stunning. Very tall, very long limbs, but even with the length in her arms and you still have nice curves in the muscles in the arms themselves. So she's just looking amazing. I loved how full her glutes look. They're so beautifully outlined and yet still also so like stretched and tight and full, and the skin is just so beautifully covering her glutes. I think she's got a lot of size, but they just appear so pumped and round and full, and it's gorgeous. In the back pose, I thought she really had a nice amount of balance with that fullness in the glutes and the fullness in the delts. So you see that beautiful rounded shape here, that tininess, and then again, beautiful rounded shape into the glutes. She has a very long torso. She's tall, right? The stomach was so flat, and the obliques are super sharp. And yet it wasn't like a crazy amount of definition into the abs. So it's not like she's got a six pack. She still has, that beautiful bikini look. She's not super lines and cuts and everywhere you look, you see little details, but extremely lean and gorgeous midsection. Overall, I just thought she had really good balance this show. She had a really nice degree of size to the top, that tiny waist, and matching very well with her glutes. Again, I said it before, her conditioning was gorgeous. She's got really good glute ham tie-ins, but not a crazy amount of lines coming down her legs, not a crazy amount of lines in her stomach, just all of these beautiful shapes. So I think she is stunning. And of course, her posing. Everybody knows she's the queen of posing. She's so elegant, beautiful, and enchanting to watch. So I was able to find a lineup photo, but the quality wasn't quite good enough when I zoomed in. So I've just stuck their individual photos on top. I wanted you to get to see the differences in their heights, their shapes, but this is a clearer view, and my goodness, what a beautiful lineup. I'm going to leave Amy and Lauralie till the end. So beginning with Phoebe, what I really noticed on her was that S shape. I think that curve really stood out. The way that she poses was phenomenal. And I love in this photo how she really has a lot of six-pack muscles showing through, which is beautiful on her frame. Very lean, but it's totally lovely. In the back pose, Phoebe's glutes, the width really caught my eye. Very nice size, great stance. Her posing is awesome. So with Angelica, I thought her tan could have been darker. I think that would have helped to show off some of the conditioning, but also at the end of the day, I think she did need to come in a little bit leaner. I think her glutes, like I said, could have been a tiny bit tighter, and even her midsection could have been more flat like we see on Ellie or Vana, for example. But overall, I still think she had a really nice shape and beautiful balance. Then when I move and I look at Vana, gosh, such beautiful conditioning. Nobody else really has quite the amount of detail coming through in her quads. I think her delts look fabulous. From behind, you have a really nice look at her tie-ins. Even though this is a screenshot of her, you can still see all that definition and that beautiful tiny waist, those calves, amazing. She does have to be careful that she doesn't have too much conditioning. It's still bikini at the end of the day. There's got to be some softness, but she nailed it for this show. And then Ellie, gorgeous. That curve to her glute, the beautiful lines, that tiny waist. I think her delts really stand out for how beautifully round they are on top. And man, she's got some great definition coming through the back of her leg. She'll need to be careful that it's not too much conditioning, that the lines aren't too deep down into the hamstrings. But overall, I think she looked stunning. Now, as far as Amy and Lauralie are concerned, it's so difficult to tell why did the judges go for Lauralie. We know the scores were super close, like it could have been either of them. But there are a few things that I do notice that are different between them. So one thing I noticed was the tie-ins. I thought Lauralie's tie-ins were a little bit easier to see, a tiny bit sharper. Amy, of course, has tie-ins. Her glutes are a longer shape down her leg, but you don't quite see the outline as clearly as you did with Lauralie. I thought Amy really has a beautiful width to her clavicle. You easily see that triangular shape, whereas with Lauralie, it's not quite as much of a crazy ratio, the width to the tininess of her stomach. Lauralie really caught my attention, this definition in her side. I think when she was walking, when they moved her into position, that just the lines in her legs were so beautiful and so easy to see. I really liked that. In this front pose, I definitely love the curve to Amy's delts. I think both Amy and Lauralie have beautiful delts in the front, but in the back, I think Lauralie's delts look rounder. Somehow Amy almost has a flattening on top of her delts, whereas Lauralie's just have a little bit more of that curvy shape. Okay, Lauralie, I thought, has a little bit more of a rounded, curvy shape to the inside of her thighs, just subtle, just a little bit in the top area. But Amy, I thought, had a little bit more curve to the outside of the leg. Her quad sweep here is a little bit bigger and a little bit rounder than we see on Lauralie, who has a bit more of a straighter shape to her legs. So definitely a difference in the amount of muscle, the shape, but beautiful nonetheless. Amy, her calves stand out to me. I think she's got more curve, a little bit more definition, a little bit more shape down into the bottom of her legs, whereas Lauralie is a little bit straighter. And then another thing was the glutes. So to me, in this side pose, Amy has more roundness, whereas Lauralie has a little bit more of like almost a straighter shape down here. So Amy has more curve. Lauralie obviously has a lot of size and more of that horizontalness, but it's not quite as rounded as we see on Amy. And in the back, you can see the difference between the shapes of their glutes. Like I said, Amy has a little bit more of a length and Lauralie has more of a height. So some differences for sure. But my goodness, at the end of the day, they both look amazing, and how the judges were able to come to a decision, I think, must have been so difficult. So with that in mind, I thought I would show you a video that Fit Pro Becky posted on Instagram. She is one of the IFBB Pro judges, and she wrote that it's a perfect example of how the criteria looks on two very different structures. Lauralie is obviously taller with a longer torso, while Amy is a little shorter and has broader shoulders. But both have the level of muscularity and conditioning we want to see. In most divisions, your structure is a major factor in your ultimate potential. In figure, for example, if you don't have that X frame with broad shoulders tapering to a tight waist, flowing to sweeping quads, your success will be limited. Not true for bikini. An hourglass shape is the goal, and it can look like the silhouettes of either of these two athletes here, more dramatic like Amy or a little more subtle like Lauralie. The balance of shoulder development, a tight waist, and shapely glutes is what's most important. Those components combine for a fit, feminine physique that meets the criteria and wins shows. I love that. It's amazing. They're both the perfect example of bikini, and they're both stunning. So what an amazing Arnold, and it is so exciting now going into Olympia. And speaking of Olympia, Lauralie is now added to the list. And as far as my predictions are concerned, I did pretty good. One of my picks didn't end up competing, so I had Lauralie and Amy, and Angelica was my wild card. So awesome. And as I mentioned, I wanted to do a quick little recap of the scorecards for fitness and wellness. So in fitness, in the physique round, Jody was first, Tamara second, Michelle third, Ariel fourth, Jacqueline fifth, and Arica sixth. And then in the routines, it was Ariel in first, Jacqueline in second, Michelle in third, Jody fourth, and Arica fifth, and Tiffany in sixth. So in other words, Tamara and Jody were able to maintain their high position because of how good their physiques were, and then Ariel and Jacqueline were able to push up their position by how good their routines were. So very exciting, very stressful. Fitness is so intense. And then as for wellness, it was a unanimous win for Francielli, but man, was it close between Bruna and Sandra for fourth and third place. 1 point separated them. So again, that will be very exciting coming into Olympia. All right, so that concludes this recap. Of course, there are more shows coming up. There's the Arnold Classic UK, Muscle Contest Campinas. So please subscribe if you're not already. Give me a like if you like this video. Comment your thoughts below. I'm very excited to hear what you guys think. And come find me. I'm on Instagram at turquoise toffee.